The internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes.
Era one, you may not have understood me, but I was speaking technology.
I saw a bumper sticker the other day that I loved. It said, "Okay, joke's over. Bring back the Constitution."
It was not intended to be a commercial network. It was only intended to be a communication network that is exploited if there is a Russian attack on the telephone network in the United States. So,
anyway, information is broken down and travels over the internet in discrete chunks called packets. So here's a packet, and I will send it along.
Each one of those packets carries their own address, and the network is essentially dumb. All the network has to do is look at the packet and deliver it wherever the packet tells it to go.
You connect to the web through pipes owned by telephone and cable companies. But the deal is they're not allowed to mess with what's inside those pipes, whether it's Google or Yahoo, Lonely Girl or Bill O'Reilly, everyday citizens or business tycoons. Everybody's website gets the same speed and quality. That's called
net neutrality. We gotta deliver everyone's websites and email through our network at the same speed.
Basically, the internet is to be neutrally able to transport data, irrespective of the content of that data.
I guess it would be the network providers, such as I guess Time Warner or something, giving priority to certain traffic or not.
You pay us a toll and your internet traffic goes in the fast lane. But if you can't pay, we have a special lane for you.
Should the carriers like AT&T and Verizon, who own the actual pipes, should they be charging high traffic websites like Google and Amazon for carrying the data traffic? And should there be different levels of services there?
Okay. When we're talking about, we're not talking about like from the consumer end where I pay for more bandwidth. What we're talking about now is the ISPs making backroom deals with different sites so that if the site pays them more, or if they like the site's content more, then they'll deliver those packets faster to the user than the packets of the other site.
This packet from Google and this one from Amazon get through very easily. But this packet from timewarner.org somehow gets routed a little differently.
Net neutrality legislation would be a terrible thing that would cause higher taxes, a slower internet, and a dearth of online innovation.
There is some value to be found in having, for example, video packets and voice packets go first on the network. And we have better voice transmissions, better video transmissions.
Building the next generation of the internet is going to take a lot of work and cost a lot of money. And some big corporations can't wait to use it. They plan on using a huge portion of the new bandwidth to do things like stream high-definition movies. They're going to make billions. But they don't want to pay anything. Instead, they want to stick consumers with the whole bill.
I do think from a capitalist perspective that it does make business sense for carriers to charge more to providers that are taking up a lot more of their pipe than other providers are.
We call it deregulation. In fact,
to a large degree, the internet is neutral up till now.
Should politicians and bureaucrats replace network administrators? It'll be the first major government regulation of the internet, and it will fundamentally change how the internet works.
Because any law that is passed today will basically put in place measures to protect the businesses that are playing in that field today. And it doesn't leave any room for the creativity and the innovation that will arise tomorrow.
I don't think we should have legislation, because the real response to something that powerful websites don't like and consumers don't like, and is obviously a bad choice for everyone, is a free market.
The Chicago Tribune. Consumers will benefit if Congress encourages competition. It breeds more choices, lower prices, and innovation. Net neutrality stops all that in its tracks.
We're going to run into a lot of technocrat problems because, how many legislators understand this in the first place, and how are they going to be able to foresee how it might be abused? You're going to have to call in experts, and they might be owned by somebody already, so it's another problem.
And the role of a parent, there is information out there that some portions of the population don't need to see. But who gets to censor and what level does that happen? Those are the more difficult questions.
There are many countries that actually exercise censorship on the internet. Basically what they do is that they identify a number of links, and any attempt to connect it to these links get rejected at the source.
This idea of network neutrality was an basically assumption in the early days of the network, because when the internet was developed, everything was the same. It was all just text.
The net neutrality issue is a fundamental question about who should control the internet.
No one should control the internet. That's not even a question that should be asked.
If I give a package to UPS, I really don't want them to decide whether, whether it's good or bad or whatever. The person who ultimately receives that package should be able to decide, hey, do I want it or not? So
the network is getting more dense, and there are more connections and more coverage, if you will. There was no form of regulation, and obviously we didn't really have a lack of growth there. People were choosing to invest in this network. So I think that they know that if you build that road, there will be businesses that come, there will be people that move in, there will be commerce developed in that area that wasn't there before. And everybody will make money off of it because the road's there.
By the year 2006, our research shows that 86 million households should have been wired with fiber, i.e. the majority of the United States. The reason why it didn't get built is because none of the regulators stepped up to the plate.
But it's just greed. ISPs make a lot of money, and they want more money, and that's why they're against net neutrality.
Phone companies took $25 billion in tax write-offs, while revenues soared 128%. But they didn't build the fiber network they promised.
I know in South Korea, broadband usage is at insanely high levels, and
I don't see why the United States doesn't have the same internet availability speeds like Southeast Asia. I know that Japan just recently sent up a new satellite that will deliver super extra high-speed internet to people in Southeast Asia, and I think that we're just kind of slow to get that. Somebody doesn't want to because they think they can make more money by not.
And of course the thing is that the suppliers of service are all over the world. It's not clear how they would enforce this position. I suppose they could keep a list of internet protocol addresses and say only people who paid us can send traffic through from that internet address. But this will stifle innovation.
If you look at the cell phone industry, these companies have their wireless networks, they own them, and we as a country in the United States are lagging behind.
This would effectively squash the little guy, who may in fact, as is often the case, be the better guy. The little guy can't pay to stay on top.
These companies will now have another expense to their, to their additional bottom line.
Right now is like more of a little guy. We definitely are for net neutrality. And I guess as you get bigger, I guess that answer could change, because, that might actually give us a leg up, against other, startups, whatever.
Net neutrality is a huge thing. It affects the little guy and affects the big guy too, which is what makes this issue unique.